this is the beginning of Holy Week.
It is. It is.
Holy Week. So this is a beautiful week. This is a beautiful week. Church was good today. Holy Week, man. This, it's going to march us all the way through up until, Easter, resurrection.
Till that resurrection.
Till the resurrection. That's going to be, what's funny though, is that as a kid, you just look at Easter and you just think about just the eggs and the candy. But as you get older,
especially the candy.
Exactly.
Especially the candy. Especially the candy.
Exactly. As you get older, then you start looking at it from a spiritual perspective. And dude, I don't know about you, but man, Jesus went through a lot. I mean, it's like, dude, when be honest with you, sometime when I watch, because every year they have this the story on, the movie on, the story, and it shows you his walk all the way up to the resurrection. And man, it's I don't know about you, but it gets me kind of emotional. It's sad, man, the way they do him, you know what I'm saying? And then, like he said, Father, forgive them. They do not know what they're doing.
The part I like the best is when his humanity comes out, because it shows that he's just like us. When that comes out and he says, basically, is there another way we can do this?
Yeah.
I'd rather. Can we just kind of maybe do something a little different? But not my will, yours be done. So I like that part, even though it's quick and everybody misses that when he basically doesn't want to do it.
You don't want to do it.
For whatever the reason is. He got beaten, he got whipped, he got marched from one judgment hall to another judgment hall all night. I mean, that was all night. He ain't had that's just beating after beating all night long. Running from place to place all night long. Just that part right there says, man, if we can do this a different way, just a different way, I'd rather do this.
And the Bible talks about he was so nervous, he was just sweating. And he was sweating almost like sweating blood.
Sweating blood.
Man, can you imagine being that?
No.
Being that nervous,
scared
and just nervous that you sweating that hard that it's like blood drops coming out of you.
But that shows that everybody, all of us, especially that just shows everybody has a little bit, including Jesus at that moment, has a little bit of, maybe a little bit of doubt, maybe change of heart. But I think more doubt. I mean, that was a sign of, wait a minute, hang on a second, maybe I'm a little nervous here to go forward. I know you got me, but maybe I'm a little nervous. Maybe can you hold up a minute?
Yeah.
Let's think about this for 1 second. And I think we all go through that when we trust in God in life, and we've prayed about it, we've talked to people about it, and things go south.
Yeah.
Or things seem like they're going a different direction than we intended, or a different direction than we maybe thought. And we say, okay, hold up a minute. Can we pump the brakes a little bit? Because we're getting ready to go somewhere I'm not sure I want to go. And God says, just trust me. And that's what happened to Jesus that night. God says, hang on, trust me. Not my will, yours be done. That's the part I like the best. That's the part of that whole evening I like the best, other than the fact that Peter was getting ready to defend him.
Yeah.
He pulled out that blade and cut his off.
Ready to do it. Peter was ready to get down.
That's right.
Jesus said, no, we ain't going to do it like that. We ain't going to do it like that. No, I got a better way to do it. Because what he's saying, what he's saying is that what you're doing, it might fix it for a minute. That's a Band-Aid. But what I'm doing, it's going to heal it.
It's going to fix it.
It's going to fix it forever.
Once and for all.
Exactly.
Once for all.
Yeah, so we talk about that trust or what have you, and I think I told you the story. I'll tell it to you again. Back, I think it was, you remember we had the mortgage crunch. We had that deep mortgage crunch where I think
everybody was losing their houses.
Early 2000, dude, it was rough. I was rolling good. The kids was in grade school. I was coaching games, doing all kinds of life. Was just beautiful.
Oh, that's right. That's right. Because way back then, that seemed like it was a lifetime ago.
It wasn't that long ago though.
You was in mortgage.
Exactly. I was in mortgages. Exactly. Before I got into banking, I was in mortgages. So anyway, all of a sudden that thing hit. That thing got rough. And I had to almost find another career, man. I started doing reverse mortgages. And I remember I was with this company and my office was in Brea. And here's the thing. The money had got a little tight. Wasn't making the money that I was making when I was in mortgage for sure. And so like we just talked about having faith, we talked about Jesus was stressing. I was stressing. So I was in Brea. That's where the home office was. I used to go there and work. Not that I loved there. I would stop to the gym, release that stress, and I would stop at LA Fitness in Yorba Linda. I would go there every day, you know. And I met this guy there, and me and him would talk, go back and forth. He actually worked there. And so this one day, man, it just hit me hard, almost like it hit me hard. And I was coming from the job, and I was going to the gym, and I saw the guy, and I'm beating myself up. I said, man, I gotta figure this out, man. I got a family to take care of. I got things I gotta do. But here's the funny part. I'm saying I gotta figure it out.
You gotta do it.
I gotta figure it out. And so here's what God did. So I see the guy, I always talk to him every day. And I say, hey man, you not working out today? He said, no, man. He says, I gotta find another job. I said, what's wrong? He said, you remember I told you I have a daughter? I said, yeah, she's like 5, 6 years old. He said, yeah. She was living with her mom. And he said, man, her mom recently passed. So now I got to step up. I got to take care of her. So therefore, I got to get a better job. I said, wow. And he told me how she passed, which was a horrible incident that happened the way she passed. At any rate, I'm sitting there and I'm thinking to myself, I said, man, I come from my job and I come here and I'm stressing about a job. And as soon as I walk in the door, God shows me that you think you got it rough. There's other people going through things too, and some people's problems are bigger than yours. He just showed me. So I just told the guy, I said, man, I'm sorry to hear that about you. You know, your baby's mama, she's gone, and now you're going to take care of her. And not only that, your daughter's not going to have a mother. I say, no, here I'm stressing about a job. Here I'm stressing about how am I going to get more income or what have you. And this is what he told me, Kevin. I will never forget this. He said, man, my mama told me something a long time ago. I said, what's that? He says, every morning you get up, you thank God for your problems because you don't want the next person's problems. I said, whoa.
Can you imagine?
Whoa.
It just made me think. Can you imagine? Mm-hmm. Can you imagine having? We talking about Jesus. Can you imagine having his problems in the garden?
Exactly.
Can you imagine having his? Would you exchange all your problems in this life for his problem, for his one problem that one day? See, we don't think about that. I mean, yeah, we got big problems. Yeah, my problems to me are worst things in the world that could happen. Mm-hmm. But there's always somebody, somewhere, mm-hmm. with a bigger problem. And the most important thing we can do, and it's hard when you have your own problems, mm-hmm. but the most important thing we can do is stop, listen, and see if we can help that person. Mm-hmm. And that's so hard to do when you're in the midst of your own problems, mm-hmm. to help somebody else, mm-hmm. or to pray with somebody, or to do like you did, just say, man, I understand. Mm-hmm. Man, I mean, when we get caught up in our own problems, it's hard for us just to lend a hand to see, who can I help? Mm-hmm. Can I help somebody? While you were talking, I looked up some things. Mm-hmm. And one thing I thought about was your perspective on what was going on in your life at that time versus what was going on with others. So mm-hmm. you had a perspective on, man, my life is rough right now. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Man, my problems, your focus and your perspective was all on your problems, mm-hmm. which, in all honesty, they should have been. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. But then you met someone that gave you another perspective.
Exactly.
God introduced you to someone who gave you another perspective. And when you think about that, meeting someone like that puts God in the mix.
Mm-hmm.
God's presence. God's presence, your perspective. Mm-hmm. God comes in, shows you a different perspective. Mm-hmm. It's up to us to see things a different way. Mm-hmm. Just like Jesus in the garden. Mm-hmm. He had a perspective. And for a split second, it wasn't God's perspective. It was his. Mm-hmm. Man, this is going to hurt me. I don't want to do this. Mm-hmm. Maybe we can do this, but you know what? Not my will, your will be done. Mm-hmm. You came in, work out, you was stressed. You was probably getting ready to sweat great drops of blood yourself. But you came in, was stressed out over your problems, mm-hmm. over what's going on in your life. Mm-hmm. And someone came up to you and introduced you to something that was greater. Yeah. Even you saw that was great. It wasn't your problem, mm-hmm. but you saw, mm-hmm. man, my problems are not quite as bad as your problems. Exactly. When I compare those two, it's not quite as bad. Mm-hmm. So God gives us a different perspective. And if we can't find that on our own, he said, let me show you. Let me put something in your path so I can show you what the perspective is. And then he jumps in there with his presence. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And we kind of forget all that. You know, one thing I like about the Apostle Paul, no matter what he was going through at any time, mm-hmm. he seemed to always be content. Content, whatever place he was in. And that's what God wants us to do. He wants us to be content. Mm-hmm. Because Paul says, no matter what, I'm content. Mm-hmm. You tie me to a Roman soldier and throw me in prison. That don't faze me. I'm content. Mm-hmm. We have a hard time in our life being content with things that go on in our life. Now, you know, we even say, well, if I had all this money, I'd be content. No, you wouldn't. Mm-mm. No, you wouldn't. You want more. Mm-hmm. If I had this job, I'd be content. No, you'd want a bigger role. Mm-hmm. If I just lived in this area, I'd be satisfied. No, we'd want a bigger area, mm-hmm. a different area. Mm-hmm. No matter what happens to us in this life, have you ever noticed? Very seldom are we content. Mm-hmm. We always want more. We always want different. We're always looking over the fence to see what someone else has. Mm-hmm. Never are we just like Paul. Yeah. We get in a circumstance and now notice, Paul never said, I'm finding the good here. No. He didn't say that. Mm-mm. And people mistake that. Well, it's nothing good here. Paul didn't say it was.
He's in prison.
Yeah. He's said, in prison. I found a way to be content, mm-hmm. no matter what. Mm-hmm. That's tough for us, and that's something we have to try to do. Mm-hmm. And it's a perspective. How are you viewing things? Yeah. If you're viewing it only through your own lens, every day we get up probably is ugly. Yeah. But if you look at it through God's lens and look bigger and broader, you may look and say, you know what, things ain't so bad. Yeah. Because they could be worse. Mm-hmm. And I'm sure that's what Paul did as he's in prison. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. You know what? I'm in prison. Things could be worse. Now, I'm going to tell you, I don't know how things could have been much worse for him, but he said things could have been worse. So I'm going to be content no matter what I am. Whatever circumstance I find myself in, I'm going to be content. Somehow you were able to talk to this gentleman and get a different perspective.
And here's the thing too. What was interesting to me so let's say if it had happened a day later, I don't know if I would have made the connection. But it happened not only the same day. The gym from the job was probably a 10-minute ride. So it actually happened as I'm driving to the gym, and I'm thinking, and I'm worried about this. I'm stressing about it. And I'm thinking probably 10, 15 minutes later, God shows me. He shows me that he's still in control. And I tell you what, obviously I prayed for the guy. And matter of fact, he was a twin too. I remember that. His brother worked at another gym. Good dude though. But anyway, I prayed for the guy, obviously. And then when I walked away though, I thank God. I thank God for showing me. I thank him for showing me and putting that in front of me. Basically, he was just letting me know, hey dude, stop your whining. Stop whining and crying. I got you. I'm still in control.
You know what's important about that, what you said? I thank God.
Yeah.
I thank God. So how can you thank God when your circumstances seem, when everything seems so dark? But I thank God. And that's what you did. You said, hey, I ran to this guy, you know, I had 10 minutes between work and the gym, and had all these thoughts, and, you know, my situation seemed just, things wasn't looking good. I mean, things were getting a little bleak.
Yeah.
And you get to the gym, different perspective. All of a sudden you walk into and you come out thanking God. I'm gonna thank you for showing me that things are not as bad as they could be. They're pretty bad, but they're not as bad as they could be.
Exactly.
So I'm gonna thank you for that, and I'm gonna praise you for that. That's something we don't do, and we forget to do that. And that's, again, going back to Paul. That's Paul in his situation. He's praising God, he's thanking God and everything. That, you know, a lot of people from the Bible did that. The situation seemed dark and bleak, yet they were still praising the Lord. Still trusting God.
Still singing.
We just have such a hard time doing that today.
Yeah.
Because we're so busy with our five senses. See, touch. If we can't see it, touch it, taste it,
Exactly.
it don't register.
I gotta share this with you because I saw this. I always try to look up. I'm always looking for in my branch, in my office. I always try to put up on the board inspirational quotes, something to motivate people, not just at the job, but motivate them in their lives. And I do it every week. I'll find something, I'll put it up, and I don't try to beat them up with Bible talk or spiritual talk, but I will use it, whereas they don't. I'll say I drip it to them. I'll drip it. What we think about rain? Maybe, huh?
No, we be okay.
Okay.
I'm just looking up.
Exactly. God, can we? Is this a sign?
The sun
finish this?
The sun trying to peek through.
Yeah, I see the sun.
Sun trying to peek through.
So, but I saw this one, and it's almost like we're talking about right now, and I love it too. I forget who made it though, but it says, "The cure to pain is in the pain."
The cure to pain is in the pain. You want to explain that to me. The cure to pain is in the pain.
It's in the pain. That's the quote that I got.
Oh.
And so when you talk about Paul, he was in pain, right?
He was in pain.
I was in pain with the job situation. But the cure is not outside. It's what you gain while you're in the pain. That's what I'm getting from it.
All right.
You get what I'm saying?
All right.
It's what you gain while you're in the pain. So when you're having rough times, if you're paying attention to what's actually going on in your life, that's the cure. You get the cure while you're in the pain. It's not when you get out, it's while you're in the pain.
So you get stronger by going through something.
Exactly.
So while you're in it, you get stronger. While you're going through it, while you're in the midst of it. And when you come out of it,
you're almost thankful.
Huh.
Think about it. You're almost thankful after you come out of it.
Yeah.
If you really look at it from that perspective, say, okay, they always say when you go through stuff, we do this at the job. What's your did wells and what's your next times? And there's always opportunity to grow, right?
Right.
Always, but there's some things that you did well probably while you were going through it. And there's some things that if you had to go through it, again, you probably do a little different. Do a little different.
Right,
but so how do you learn that? You learn it in the pain.
Gotta learn it in the pain.